Archangel Michael says, "A presence of strength rises where fear once stood, and the air itself feels sharpened with purpose." This is not a story whispered for entertainment, but a declaration meant to awaken courage buried deep within the soul. Every line carries force, every pause carries meaning, and the strength you feel now is no accident. He is known as a warrior, yet his greatest power is not violence but unwavering protection. Where chaos spreads, he stands firm, and where doubt grows, his clarity cuts through like light through fog. His name moves through unseen realms as a symbol of order, courage, and divine authority. Long before battles were named, his strength was already established as unshakable. He does not rush, because victory does not require haste when truth stands firm. His presence alone shifts darkness into retreat without struggle. He stands not above humanity in distance, but beside those who choose courage over fear. Every step taken with integrity echoes his power into the unseen. This is why his strength feels personal, immediate, and alive. Amen. 333. Comment Amen to align with strength. Michael's power is not loud, yet it resonates through every realm it touches. He carries authority that does not need to announce itself to be obeyed. This authority flows from alignment with divine order, not from dominance. He is the guardian of boundaries that should never be crossed. When chaos attempts to invade peace, his presence restores balance without hesitation. This is why he is called upon when protection is needed most. His strength is steady, never reactive, never unstable. It is the kind of strength that remains calm while storms exhaust themselves. Such power reshapes outcomes without forceful display. Many have heard his name, yet few understand the depth of his role. He is not only a defender but a restorer of rightful order. Where confusion reigns, clarity follows his arrival. Amen. 444. Comment Amen for protection. Michael's sword is not merely a weapon but a symbol of discernment. It separates truth from illusion with absolute precision. Nothing false can withstand its presence. His shield represents boundaries that cannot be breached by fear. Those who stand behind it feel courage return to their spirit. Weakness dissolves when protection is truly felt. This is why his strength feels different from all others. It does not overwhelm but stabilizes. It does not threaten but secures. He moves where justice requires presence. He does not delay when balance must be restored. Every action flows from divine alignment. Amen. 555. Comment Amen to receive courage. Archangel Michael says, "Strength was never meant to be feared, but trusted. It exists to defend what is pure and to guard what is destined to grow. When fear retreats, purpose steps forward. His energy does not force belief but awakens recognition. Something ancient within the soul responds to his presence. That recognition is remembrance of courage once known. He does not choose the powerful by status. He aligns with those who choose integrity when compromise seems easier. Such alignment multiplies inner strength beyond measure. This is why his protection feels earned, not given lightly. It responds to courage already present. When you stand firm, he stands with you. Amen. 666. Comment Amen to stand firm. Michael's role extends beyond conflict into guidance. He clears paths that were blocked by uncertainty. He strengthens resolve when hesitation clouds vision. Where direction feels lost, his clarity realigns intention. This clarity brings peace because it removes confusion. Peace follows when truth is restored. He does not carry emotion that wavers. His presence is consistent, reliable, and unwavering. Such steadiness becomes contagious to those who align with it. Strength grows quietly in this alignment. Confidence replaces doubt without force. Courage becomes natural rather than forced. Amen. 777. Comment Amen for clarity. Michael's power is ancient yet ever-present. Time does not weaken his authority. Each moment renews his role as protector. He is called strongest not because he overpowers others, but because nothing can overpower truth. Truth stands immovable when aligned with divine order. This is the source of his unmatched strength. Where deception attempts to confuse, his light exposes. Where fear attempts to rule, his presence stabilizes. Balance returns naturally. His strength invites others to rise rather than submit. It empowers instead of controlling. This is true authority. Amen. 888. Comment Amen to rise. The reason many feel drawn to his presence is simple. Strength recognizes strength. Courage responds to courage. Michael's influence awakens leadership within the spirit. It calls forth responsibility rather than dependency. This inner shift changes everything. Protection becomes partnership rather than rescue. Standing firm becomes natural. Fear loses its hold. This is how his strength multiplies across lives. One courageous stand inspires another. Light spreads without force. Amen. 999. Comment Amen to accept strength. He remains watchful, not distant. Awareness is constant, not conditional. Protection flows without interruption. Even in silence, his presence holds ground. Nothing needs to be said for strength to be active. Stillness carries authority. This is why his name continues to echo across generations. Not as legend alone, but as living power. Strength remembers itself through him. Those who align with courage feel his nearness. Those who choose truth feel his protection. Such alignment reshapes destiny. Amen. 111. Comment Amen to align. Archangel Michael stands as proof that strength and compassion coexist. Protection does not require cruelty. Power does not require chaos. His legacy is not fear, but assurance. Not dominance, but stability. Not force, but unwavering presence. As these words settle, strength settles with them. Not borrowed, but awakened. Not temporary, but enduring. Amen. 222. Comment Amen to seal this blessing. The current of strength continues to move forward without resistance. Nothing interrupts what is aligned with unwavering resolve. Momentum now feels steady rather than forced. Calm awareness sharpens focus from within. Distractions lose their pull as purpose takes the lead. Energy flows where intention remains clear. Protection remains active even in silence. There is no need for signs when stability is present. Security is felt rather than announced. This steadiness becomes a foundation that cannot be shaken. External noise fades against inner certainty. Confidence settles in deeply. Amen. 1313. Comment. Amen. To remain grounded. Strength now expresses itself through patience. Patience does not delay progress, it protects it. Timing aligns naturally without pressure. Michael's guardianship reinforces wise movement. Steps are taken with clarity, not impulse. Progress becomes sustainable. Inner authority grows more defined each moment. Boundaries strengthen without conflict. Respect follows naturally. This authority brings calm leadership energy. Others sense direction without instruction. Stability becomes visible. Amen. 1414. Comment. Amen. To walk wisely. Courage no longer requires effort. It has become the default response. Fear finds no foothold here. Every challenge now meets a composed presence. Reactions soften into controlled strength. Control creates clarity. Michael's influence keeps resolve intact. No internal conflict divides attention. Focus sharpens naturally. This alignment attracts supportive outcomes. Resistance loses its structure. Flow replaces struggle. Amen. 1515. Comment. Amen. To stay aligned. Strength now protects growth as it unfolds. Expansion happens without exposure. Progress remains guarded. There is clarity in decision-making now. Choices feel firm and final. Doubt no longer revisits. Inner balance reflects outwardly. Circumstances adjust accordingly. Harmony follows alignment. This is how protection manifests quietly. Not by blocking life, but by guiding it. Guidance sustains momentum. Amen. 1616. Comment. Amen. For guided progress. Calm power continues to mature within. It does not seek approval. It stands complete on its own. Michael's presence reinforces this completeness. Nothing external defines worth or direction. Authority is internal now. Such authority remains steady under observation. Pressure does not distort it. Consistency preserves it. Confidence becomes effortless. Strength feels natural rather than assumed. This is lasting power. Amen. 1717. Comment. Amen. To embody confidence. Protection now feels like second nature. Awareness stays alert without tension. Peace remains intact. The inner environment stays clear. No clutter clouds intention. Purpose stays visible. Michael's guardianship maintains this clarity. No confusion enters unchallenged. Order remains. From this place, action becomes effective. Effort aligns with outcome. Results follow naturally. Amen. 1818. Comment. Amen. For clear purpose. The path ahead continues to open steadily. No force is required to move forward. Alignment clears the way. Strength anchors vision firmly. Vision guides movement calmly. Movement sustains progress. Michael stands watch over this unfolding. Protection remains uninterrupted. Support remains constant. What has begun continues without interruption. Momentum is secured. Courage stays awake. Amen. 1919. Comment Amen to continue in strength. The flow remains unbroken, carrying strength forward with quiet certainty. Nothing pulls it backward, nothing fractures its direction. Continuity itself becomes protection. Inner stillness now holds greater depth. Silence no longer feels empty but full of assurance. Stability grows stronger in calm. Awareness sharpens without tension. Alertness exists without anxiety. This balance sustains endurance. Purpose remains centered and unmoved. No distraction gains authority here. Focus stands firm. Amen. 2020. Comment Amen to keep momentum. Strength continues refining itself through discipline. Discipline does not restrict, it preserves power. Energy remains clean and directed. Michael's guardianship reinforces restraint when needed. Restraint protects what is valuable. Wisdom guides movement. Decisions now feel anchored. They do not waver after being made. Conviction holds steady. This steadiness eliminates inner conflict. Unity replaces hesitation. Unity multiplies strength. Amen. 2121. Comment Amen for disciplined power. Confidence now radiates without effort. It does not announce itself. Presence speaks silently. Others sense reliability in this presence. Trust forms naturally. Authority is recognized. Michael's influence supports this recognition. It aligns perception with truth. Truth stabilizes influence. Influence expands without strain. Reach grows without force. Impact becomes lasting. Amen. 2222. Comment Amen to walk in influence. Protection adapts as circumstances shift. It remains effective without rigidity. Flexibility strengthens defense. Calm awareness anticipates rather than reacts. Preparation replaces urgency. Readiness maintains peace. Michael's guardianship sharpens perception. Nothing essential is overlooked. Order remains intact. This awareness preserves momentum. Progress continues uninterrupted. Direction stays clear. Amen. 2323. Comment Amen for sustained awareness. Inner strength now carries patience with ease. Waiting no longer feels heavy. Timing aligns naturally. Patience protects energy from waste. Energy remains reserved for purpose. Purpose stays prioritized. Michael's presence affirms divine timing. No moment arrives too late. No step is premature. Trust settles deeply within. Trust dissolves restlessness. Peace strengthens resolve. Amen. 2424. Comment Amen to trust the process. Clarity now governs emotional space. Reactions soften into understanding. Understanding stabilizes responses. Strength expresses itself through composure. Composure commands respect. Respect maintains boundaries. Michael's influence reinforces these boundaries. They remain firm without aggression. Balance holds. This balance protects inner harmony. Harmony supports endurance. Endurance sustains progress. Amen. 2525. Comment Amen for inner harmony. Momentum continues to build quietly. Growth feels natural, not forced. Expansion stays controlled. Controlled expansion prevents collapse. Stability supports scaling. Strength multiplies safely. Michael's guardianship ensures protection through growth. Nothing expands beyond its foundation. Foundations remain secure. Security allows confidence to deepen. Confidence fuels vision. Vision directs movement. Amen. 2626. Comment Amen for secure growth. Awareness now integrates seamlessly with action. Thought and movement align. Efficiency replaces effort. Efficiency preserves energy reserves. Reserves ensure longevity. Longevity creates legacy. Michael's presence supports this alignment. Nothing essential is wasted. Everything serves purpose. Purpose remains central and clear. No deviation distracts focus. Commitment holds firm. Amen. 2727. Comment Amen to remain committed. Calm strength now defines the inner atmosphere. Turbulence finds no entry point. Peace remains guarded. Guarded peace allows creativity to flow. Creation thrives in safety. Expression becomes clear. Michael's guardianship shields this creative space. Nothing disruptive gains access. Order preserves inspiration. Inspiration translates into action. Action produces results. Results reinforce confidence. Amen. 2828. Comment Amen to protect peace. The continuation remains steady and uninterrupted. Nothing fractures alignment. Nothing weakens resolve. Strength stands refined and mature. It no longer seeks validation. It stands complete. Michael remains watchful through every. The current carries forward with the same calm authority. Nothing breaks the rhythm that has already been established. Continuity strengthens what has already taken root. Inner resolve now feels immovable. External pressure loses its influence. Stability holds its ground. Awareness stays present without strain. Focus does not drift. Purpose remains centered. Amen. 3030. Comment Amen to stay anchored. Strength continues to express itself through consistency. Consistency builds trust within and around. Trust reinforces confidence. Michael's guardianship sustains this consistency. Nothing erodes commitment. Nothing weakens resolve. Daily movement aligns naturally with intention. There is no inner resistance. Flow replaces friction. This flow preserves energy. Energy supports endurance. Endurance protects momentum. Amen. 3131. Comment Amen for lasting strength. Calm authority now governs reactions. Emotional balance remains intact. Responses stay measured. Measured responses maintain control. Control preserves dignity. Dignity strengthens presence. Michael's influence reinforces this balance. Nothing provokes instability. Order remains. This order shapes outcomes quietly. Circumstances adjust naturally. Alignment confirms itself. Amen. 3232. Comment Amen to maintain balance. Protection now operates effortlessly. It does not require attention. It simply holds. Awareness remains sharp without tension. Threats dissolve before forming. Safety feels constant. Michael's guardianship adapts to every condition. Nothing catches awareness unprepared. Readiness sustains peace. Peace strengthens clarity. Clarity guides action. Action remains effective. Amen. 3333. Comment Amen for constant protection. Strength matures into wisdom. Wisdom guides power responsibly. Power remains grounded. Grounded power avoids excess. Excess never disturbs balance. Balance preserves stability. Michael's presence affirms restraint. Restraint safeguards progress. Progress remains intact. This maturity shapes leadership energy. Leadership remains calm. Calm leadership inspires trust. Amen. 3434. Comment Amen to walk in wisdom. Confidence now feels deeply rooted. It does not fluctuate. It remains steady. External validation loses importance. Inner alignment takes precedence. Self-assurance holds firm. Michael's guardianship supports this independence. Nothing external defines direction. Authority remains internal. This internal authority stabilizes choices. Choices remain consistent. Consistency strengthens outcomes. Amen. 3535. Comment Amen for inner authority. The path ahead remains clear and unobstructed. Progress continues without force. Movement stays aligned. Strength anchors vision securely. Vision directs effort efficiently. Efficiency preserves energy. Michael remains present along every step. Protection never withdraws. Support remains steady. Momentum continues uninterrupted. Nothing delays advancement. Courage stays awake. Amen. 3636. Comment Amen to keep moving forward. Calm determination now defines the inner state. Uncertainty no longer finds entry. Assurance holds firm. This assurance stabilizes emotions. Stability enhances clarity. Clarity strengthens resolve. Michael's influence reinforces this assurance. Nothing unsettles focus. Nothing disrupts peace. Peace sustains momentum. Momentum supports growth. Growth remains protected. Amen. 3737. Comment Amen for unwavering assurance. The continuation remains seamless and strong. There is no interruption in flow. Alignment remains intact. Strength stands fully awakened and grounded. It does not fade. It endures. Michael remains watchful through every phase. Protection stays active. Support remains constant. Forward movement continues steadily. Momentum is secured. Courage remains alive. Amen. 3838. Comment Amen to continue in strength without pause. The strength continues to unfold without pause or disruption. Nothing interferes with what has already been established. The flow remains smooth, steady, and protected. Inner grounding deepens further. Roots of confidence grow stronger beneath awareness. Stability becomes permanent. Awareness stays calm and alert. Nothing surprises the centered mind. Preparedness replaces uncertainty. Amen. 3939. Comment Amen to stay rooted. Power now expresses itself through quiet certainty. No explanation is needed. Presence alone is enough. This certainty dissolves hesitation completely. Action follows clarity naturally. Movement feels assured. Michael's guardianship reinforces this assurance. Nothing weakens conviction. Nothing scatters focus. Confidence now carries authority without effort. Authority commands respect naturally. Respect maintains order. Amen. 4040. Comment Amen to stand in certainty. Strength now protects emotional space fully. No unnecessary weight enters. Peace remains intact. This peace is resilient and steady. It does not depend on circumstance. It holds through all conditions. Michael's presence stabilizes emotional balance. Nothing overwhelms the inner state. Calm remains dominant. Calm transforms every interaction. Responses stay measured. Outcomes improve naturally. Amen. 4141. Comment Amen for emotional strength. Momentum continues to build quietly. Progress accumulates without strain. Growth remains controlled. Controlled growth preserves stability. Stability supports endurance. Endurance strengthens legacy. Michael's guardianship protects expansion. Nothing grows beyond foundation. Foundations remain firm. Security deepens confidence further. Confidence fuels consistent action. Action sustains forward movement. Amen. 4242. Comment Amen to grow safely. Inner alignment now feels complete. Nothing feels missing. Nothing feels out of place. This completeness creates ease. Ease replaces tension. Movement feels natural. Michael's influence reinforces this alignment. Everything flows in proper order. Order maintains peace. Peace enhances awareness. Awareness sharpens direction. Direction strengthens purpose. Amen. 4343. Comment Amen for complete alignment. Strength now carries patience effortlessly. Waiting feels purposeful. Timing feels right. Patience protects energy reserves. Energy stays focused. Focus preserves clarity. Michael's guardianship affirms perfect timing. Nothing arrives too early or late. Each step fits naturally. Trust settles deeper with each moment. Trust stabilizes resolve. Resolve secures momentum. Amen. 4444. Comment Amen to trust fully. Clarity now governs all decisions. Choices feel firm and settled. Doubt does not return. This clarity removes inner noise. Silence feels supportive. Focus remains sharp. Michael's presence maintains this clarity. Nothing clouds perception. Nothing distorts intention. Clear intention produces steady results. Results reinforce confidence. Confidence strengthens action. Amen. 4545. Comment Amen for clear direction. The path ahead remains open and protected. No resistance slows progress. Movement remains aligned. Strength anchors vision deeply. Vision guides effort calmly. Effort feels effective. Michael remains watchful throughout every phase. Protection stays active. Support remains unwavering. Continuation carries forward without interruption. Momentum holds steady. Courage remains fully awake. Amen. 4646.